The story begins in England during the early hours of the morning when three animal rights activists break into the Primate Research Center in Cambridge, where chimpanzees are subjected to tests involving videos showing human rage, violence, and destruction. As the activists are taking photos, a scientist catches them and runs off to call security. The group stops him just in time and captures him. Then, the scientist pleads with them not to do anything, explaining that the chimpanzees are infected with a highly contagious and extremely dangerous virus called rage. However, the activists ignore his warning and release one of the chimpanzees, which immediately attacks and bites a woman with uncontrollable fury. While the other chimpanzees go mad inside their cages, the woman begins vomiting blood onto the floor and onto her friend's face. The scientist warns that they need to sacrifice her, but it's already too late. She turns into a zombie and attacks everyone in the room. 28 days later, Jim wakes up from a coma in an empty hospital. He leaves the room and starts wandering, looking for someone, but finds no living soul, only destruction everywhere. After grabbing some drinks from a vending machine, he leaves the building to explore London, finding the city deserted and ravaged. Upon finding a newspaper, he learns that Britain experienced a massive exodus, and on a large mural, he sees thousands of posters of missing people. Later, Jim enters a church, where he reads terrifying messages written on the walls. When he reaches the main hall, he is horrified to see it filled with decomposing bodies. He says, "Hello," and suddenly some people move, staring at him with empty eyes. At that moment, the priest appears, but he has turned into a zombie and tries to attack Jim, who hits him with his bag full of cans. The priest seems unfazed and starts chasing him, forcing Jim to run. Other zombies leave the church and begin hunting him, and Jim runs as fast as he can until he reaches a gas station. There, survivors Mark and Selena throw homemade bombs to burn the zombies, and once Jim is safe with them, they detonate a bomb to blow up the station. Afterward, the duo takes Jim to their hideout, an abandoned candy shop in the London Underground. When Jim explains he was in a coma because of a car accident, Selena tells him that a highly contagious virus escaped from a research center and continues spreading rapidly, turning people into zombies and destroying British society. Most of the population is dead or infected, the army has been defeated, and the government no longer exists. Jim wants to go to his parents' house to see how they are, ignoring Selena's warning that they have probably already died. So she and Mark agree to accompany him so they can stay together. In the morning, the trio carefully crosses an almost deserted London and safely reaches Jim's old house where, devastated, he discovers his parents took their own lives to avoid becoming zombies. They left him a note saying, "Don't wake up." As Jim cries, Selena and Mark tell him he should be grateful his family died in peace because they had to watch their own families turn into monsters. They spend the night in that house, but Jim can't sleep and decides to watch old family videos. The light he turns on reveals his position, and suddenly two zombies jump through the window to attack him. While Jim fights to defend himself, he shouts, alerting Mark and Selena, who act quickly and kill the creatures with brutal but effective ferocity. Then Selena checks that Jim hasn't been bitten or had zombie blood in his mouth. Unfortunately, the injured one is Mark, whose arm is covered in contaminated blood. Without hesitation, Selena kills Mark with her machete and warns they need to leave immediately because more zombies are coming. After cleaning up, changing clothes, and gathering all the supplies from the house, Jim and Selena leave, with her warning that anyone infected must be eliminated immediately, whether they're family or friends. Later, they notice flashing lights in a nearby apartment and decide to investigate. The building is in poor condition, and the lobby is cluttered with shopping carts, but they simply jump over them to reach the stairs. There are many floors to climb, and when they stop to rest, they hear the screams of zombies who just entered the building. The zombies also jump over the carts to reach the stairs, so Jim and Selena sprint up while being chased. At the top of the stairs, a man in protective gear blocks their path and reveals the apartment number. He stays to face the zombies, holding them back with a shield while striking them with a baton. Jim and Selena manage to reach the apartment, but the woman inside only opens the door once the man returns unharmed. With everyone safe, Frank and his daughter Hannah introduce themselves and warmly welcome the two. This is the apartment with all the lights on, and Frank is excited to have finally attracted company with the signal. The next morning, Frank shows Jim the buckets scattered across the rooftop, explaining that it hasn't rained in days. Resources are becoming increasingly scarce, and at this rate they won't be able to stay there much longer. Frank then shares a repeated military transmission on the radio, claiming that soldiers are offering shelter to other survivors outside Manchester, and even promising the answer to infection. Frank wants to go there, but Selena is skeptical, saying it might be a trap or just an old, meaningless recording. Hannah then gives a heartfelt speech and ends up convincing everyone that the risk is worth it. So the group sets off in Frank's taxi toward Manchester, taking with them all the supplies they can carry. As they drive through London, they witness widespread destruction and bodies scattered in the streets. As they attempt to drive through a tunnel, they find the path blocked by crashed cars and corpses. But Frank decides to push forward, ramming through the wreckage with the vehicle. They manage to get through the mess, but one of the tires gets punctured in the process. As everyone gets out to change it, they hear a strange noise, and suddenly, hundreds of rats come rushing toward them, a clear sign that the infected are close behind. With no time for tools, the adults lift the car while Hannah quickly replaces the tire. They spot the shadows of the infected drawing near, and soon, the creatures start leaping over the wrecked vehicles. The group finishes the tire change just in time and escapes, speeding away from the danger. They drive for hours, and eventually, upon reaching the countryside, they stop at a roadside diner to siphon fuel from an abandoned truck. Curious, Jim enters the building and finds a dead family inside. Suddenly, he's attacked by a zombified child and is forced to kill it in order to survive. Afterward, they continue their journey through the peaceful landscape, which still holds its natural beauty. During a dinner break, they watch wild horses running freely, seemingly untouched by the chaos that has taken over the world. Selena admits that things are better than she expected, and even kisses Jim on the cheek. That night, the group takes shelter in an old ruined castle. Hannah and Jim, unable to sleep, wake Selena to ask how she manages to rest. So she decides to share her remedy with them. In the morning, Jim wakes up and realizes he's alone. Panic sets in, but then Frank wakes him, revealing it was just a dream. The next day, the group resumes their journey and spots Manchester burning in the distance. Eventually, they reach the blockade mentioned in the broadcast. There are military trucks and equipment, but the area is completely deserted. Selena suggests they leave, but Frank refuses to give up and keeps searching the site for any sign of life. Frustrated, Frank kicks a wall after hearing a crow nearby, trying to scare it off. The bird, feeding on the corpse of an infected, flies away, and a drop of blood falls straight into Frank's eye. Realizing what's about to happen, he says goodbye to his daughter, tells her he loves her, and begs her to step back. In despair, Hannah still tries to get close, but Frank, already under the virus's influence, violently shoves her away. As he backs away, visibly transforming, Selena screams at Jim to kill him and clutches Hannah tightly. Jim freezes, unable to act against someone he barely knows. But before Frank can attack, soldiers suddenly appear out of nowhere and take him down instantly. The soldiers escort Jim, Selena, and Hannah to an isolated mansion deep in the forest, where they've established a fortified base against the infected. The group's leader, Major West, welcomes them cordially and offers hot food, clean beds, and showers. Once they're settled, Hannah quickly falls asleep, while Selena breaks down emotionally in front of Jim, overwhelmed by the stress she's been carrying. Jim tries to comfort her with a kiss. At first, she responds, but then realizes the situation and rushes out of the room, still shaken. Later, Jim speaks with Major West about the answer to the infection promised in the radio message. West reveals there's no cure. His answer lies in survival measures, like the defense system set up around the mansion and the stockpiled supplies. He also shows Jim an infected soldier chained in the yard, saying he's keeping him alive for observation. Jim finds it cruel to keep a zombie chained up, but Major West defends his experiment, saying he's trying to find out how long it takes for a zombie to starve, and that this could be the key to survival. At night, Jim's group joins the soldiers for dinner, but they quickly grow uncomfortable with the hostile and misogynistic atmosphere. West shows up in full military uniform and berates the cook for a minor mistake, even suggesting that Hannah could help in the kitchen, which unsettles everyone. Suddenly, the alarm blares. The infected are approaching. The soldiers swiftly take their positions, and, with discipline and heavy firepower, they eliminate the zombies with ease, blowing several of them apart and keeping the mansion secure. On the way back, the soldier Mitchell approaches Selena aggressively and tries to assault her. Jim steps in, but Mitchell easily overpowers him. The tension escalates until Sergeant Farrell intervenes with a precise blow. At that moment, Major West arrives and orders the soldiers to clean up the bodies from the confrontation. Later, he pulls Jim aside for a private talk and reveals a disturbing secret. Days earlier, he found the soldier Jones about to take his own life, convinced the world was over. To give his men a reason to survive, West promised to bring women to repopulate the world once the zombies died of starvation. That's why he sent the radio message. Horrified, Jim rushes to save Hannah and Selena, but before they can escape, all three are captured by the soldiers. Farrell tries to intervene, arguing that West's plan is inhumane and wrong, but he's also imprisoned for treason. While locked up together, Farrell shares a theory with Jim. The infection likely didn't spread beyond Britain, since the virus acts too quickly to be transported by plane or ship. This sparks a glimmer of hope in Jim. Maybe the rest of the world is still intact. The next morning, Mitchell and Jones take the two into the forest, where a pile of corpses reveals this kind of execution has happened before. Farrell accuses the two soldiers of cowardice and treason, and a heated argument breaks out. Jones, visibly shaken, wants to get it over with quickly by shooting, while Mitchell insists on using a knife to feel the moment. Unable to take the pressure, Jones pulls the trigger, killing Farrell, but accidentally shoots Mitchell in the arm. Angry, Mitchell lunges at his comrade to reprimand him, and in the chaos, Jim takes advantage of the distraction to hide among the corpses. When the soldiers realize he's gone, they start searching frantically, but all they find is his shirt caught on the barbed wire, since Jim has already jumped the fence and fled into the forest. The soldiers, seeing that Jim disappeared and assuming he won't survive the zombies outside the walls, decide to give up the search. As Jim runs through the forest, he trips and falls. When he looks up, he sees a jet crossing the sky, a confirmation for him that Farrell's theory is true. The rest of the world is still intact. Back at the mansion, the soldiers prepare Selena and Hannah for a night of reproduction, trying to dress them in nice gowns. At first, Selena resists, but soon realizes it's useless and changes tactics. She flirts and kisses one of the soldiers, asking them to give privacy so they can change clothes without interference. The soldiers agree, and as soon as they're alone, Selena gives Hannah some of her medicine to make the experience less painful. At that moment, a soldier overhearing part of the conversation runs back to alert the others, but before he can act, the alarm sounds again, interrupting everything. Jim is at the checkpoint, deliberately triggering the alarm to cause confusion. Soon, West and another soldier arrive and start searching the area. Jim moves carefully, sneaks up, and surprises the soldier, knocking him down. When West realizes his partner is missing, he searches and finds him dead inside the Jeep. On high alert, West starts firing wildly, shooting without aiming, just as a precaution. Trying to escape, he attempts to start the Jeep, but the vehicle is disabled. At that moment, a zombie jumps on West, who immediately shoots and takes it down. He gets out of the Jeep and kills all the approaching zombies, then runs back to the mansion. Meanwhile, Jim returns to the mansion and, using the gun stolen from the Jeep, frees the chained zombie, who jumps through the window to attack the soldiers guarding the girls. While Selena takes the chance to drag Hannah away, the zombie vomits blood on a soldier and starts chasing Jones. The first soldier also turns into a zombie. Selena and Hannah try to escape the house but are blocked by Mitchell. Suddenly, Jones runs with the zombie right behind him, so Mitchell sends a soldier after them while he deals with the girls. Jones manages to hide in the kitchen, and just as the zombie is about to reach him, Mitchell's friend appears to shoot, but he gets attacked by the new zombie and becomes infected. Jim watches everything satisfied from the window, while Jones cries inside the closet, powerless to help. After the zombies move away, Jones tries to escape, but Jim surprises him and kills him immediately. Upstairs, Hannah manages to escape from Mitchell and reaches the locker room, where she finds a photo of her father among the personal belongings. Hearing the zombie approach, she hides behind a mirror just in time. The zombie gets disoriented by its own reflection and eventually leaves. Back to Jim, he runs through the mansion searching for the girls and enters a room where he finds a soldier hiding, out of ammo. Jim ignores the soldier's pleas for help and jumps out the window, leaving the soldier to be devoured by the zombies. From the roof, Jim spots the room where Mitchell is about to assault Selena and enters through the window. Mitchell immediately takes Selena hostage, but Jim jumps on him, forcing him to let her go before angrily attacking him. Mitchell barely reacts before Jim smashes his head against the wall and knocks him down to crush his eyes. Startled by such violence, Selena grabs her machete and almost kills Jim, believing he's infected too. But her hesitation gives Jim time to prove he's sane, and the two share a kiss. Suddenly, Hannah hits Jim with a vase, also thinking he's infected. Luckily, Jim is fine, and the trio runs out of the building. But when they reach Frank's taxi, they find West sitting inside. Angry at his men, West shoots at Jim, and Hannah reacts quickly, driving the taxi in reverse toward the building. The zombie that was previously chained breaks the rear window and drags West out, seeking its own revenge, while Hannah accelerates, picking up Jim and Selena on the way as the zombie takes down West. The gates surrounding the mansion are locked, but Hannah simply crashes through them with the car. Jim's memories of what happened next are blurry, but he recalls Selena performing CPR in a hospital, begging him to survive. 28 days later, the trio lives in a cabin in the countryside. Selena has been working hard sewing lots of fabric, and upon hearing a plane flying overhead, they run outside with the fabric, revealing she made huge letters spelling out, "Hello." The plane spots the signal and circles around to rescue them.